I feel like the globe is a squeeze box right now, and we're all just going, wee wah, wee wah.
It was you who kept me going.
Right on the other side of everything you're afraid of is everything that you're hoping to get to.
I'm fabulous. I'm fabulous.
I tapped into the creative child that I once was, and that's really how I got my life back.
I can have my grief, but my grief doesn't have to have me.
And then maybe you'll realize I'm badass.
I am magic, I am magic, I am magic.
I love coming and talking to you and laughing with you because that's what it's all about too, right?
It really is. When we open up to each other and we look at each other and go, wow, we really aren't that different, it does. It opens up a whole new world. I'm a believer that the art of having a conversation has been lost. So I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to start looking people in the eye and having a conversation with them. Sometimes I forget I have a house that I can go to sleep in, and I'm like, but I don't want to leave the tent. Hey everybody, welcome to Tent Chat. I'm Maureen Spataro, and tonight I have a really special guest with me. She is a licensed social worker and trauma clinician at High Focus in Freehold, New Jersey. So please say hello to Christine Pancurak.
Hi, everyone.
So Christine and I have a really special history together. So usually my tent chats, we try to be really chatty and funny. But I think for tonight, I kind of want to be a little bit more serious in the sense of how you and I got to know each other.
Okay.
So do you want to tell everybody how we got to know each other?
No, I think I'm going to leave that to you, Maureen.
Oh, okay. She's being very, very good tonight. So about 7 years ago, I was in a very abusive relationship, and I suffered a nervous breakdown, and I entered an emergency room, and I was given two choices. I could go to the psych ward and get treatment at that hospital, or I could go to an intensive outpatient program in Freehold, New Jersey called High Focus. So I decided on the latter for several different reasons. And it ended up being the moment that changed my life. And Christine was actually one of the clinicians that I first met, but ended up being the clinician who had the biggest influence on me because basically I was scared of her. She was a little tough, whereas the other ones were a little sweeter. When Christine walked in the room, it was, so we're going to get down to business today, or you can just sit there and do nothing.
Just sit there.
So at the time that I went there actually wasn't a trauma track. I was put on a track with other people who had mental health issues. And as it turned out at the time, when I was in that group, I was the only survivor of sexual abuse, which was from my past, and domestic violence. Mm-hmm. So eventually, while I was still there, they did start what they called a trauma track, and I graduated. I always say I graduated to that because
Well, you did. You
that
graduated.
was really, yeah.
Did a fantastic job in the program.
That was, but I graduated to that track because I felt like it was finally the track where I was going to figure out why I thought the things I thought, why I made the mistakes that I made, why I kept doing the same things over and over and over and over, and not kind of tying it into the sexual abuse from my past. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, I'm a survivor of pedophilia, incest, and rape, and then domestic violence by 5 different men, starting at the age of 6. So when Christine met me, I was just a bag of everything.
Yes, you were.
And I was very, very, very broken. And at the time that I went into High Focus, I had actually thought about killing myself. And thankfully that thought came and went. And thankfully I met someone who gave me the number to High Focus. So tonight I kind of wanted to sit with Christine, because what I tell people is right now I feel like the whole world is in a collective trauma. I guess I just wanted to talk to you, or have you talk about what people are feeling, how they can kind of maybe get a handle on how not to get so caught up in what's going on around us? Because I know for me, I have the skills, but it's really hard.
I think that people are feeling that added pressure. People are reporting, it's hard to get through my day. I think about, the what ifs. We're very isolative. We've been isolative, but even more so now. Or I have elderly parents or family that I want to see, and we can't even see them.
Right.
So we have people coming into the center right now, or even into the practice, and we're hearing, that people are grieving the loss of socialization. They're grieving their identity at some point. They're grieving just their way of life as they've known it.
Right.
And I think that that's hard on most people. I've talked to many people who have said, "Oh, I'm getting through it quite fine," but yet when you peel back the layers and you actually get to the heart of the matter, you find that people are struggling and coping in possibly maladaptive ways.
What would be a maladaptive way?
Drugs, drinking, the incidence of domestic violence has gone up exponentially since the start of the pandemic.
I know.
Suicide rate's gone up.
Really?
People are in crisis. And it's important for them to get education and to understand that what's happening for them is not an isolated event. It's happening for all of us. And that to reach out for help and to ask and to talk to people about how they're feeling is really important.
People are turning to social media for everything. They're not even really turning to their friends and their families. Even families are infighting about what's going on and who agrees with the severity of the pandemic, who doesn't agree with it, who thinks it's a hoax, who thinks it's a lie, who thinks it's the real thing. With all of that going on, my fear is that people are really losing the ability to want to reach out for help. They're kind of becoming a little hopeless. Do you think that that's what's starting to happen?
Absolutely, especially for the people who are already experiencing mental health issues. This is done. I've lost my job, or I've lost my family member, and due to the isolation, I'm not getting out as much as I had been, and that wasn't very much. And now it's like, what else do I have?
Right.
I think people are more and more seeing the fact that the pandemic has gotten them rather than they can rise above it.
Right.
And I think that many people, despite knowing that we're all going through it, get the sense that I'm alone in this.
Yep, exactly. That's how the tent came to be, by the way, because March we went into lockdown.
Yeah.
So I think from March to April, it was like, oh, I kind of have some free time off. I was able to collect unemployment. Was it ideal? No, but it was like, okay, there's really nothing I can do about this. So I just kind of have to go with it. April to May started to become a little tougher because I also couldn't see my mom because she has cancer. My daughter was getting ready to go into the Army. She had to keep herself away from almost everyone so she wouldn't get pushed back. And then May to June was when I thought, I have been living alone in this house for 3 months. And yes, I've talked to people online. In the beginning, everybody was Zoom chatting and FaceTiming, and it was like, oh no, it's. But by June, I thought, I feel like I'm circling the drain a little bit because I was lonely, I was depressed, I was frightened, I was starting to get scared. Like, is this ever going to end?
I don't think anybody expected it to last more than a few weeks.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're sending the kids home? What do you mean that they're going to be virtual? What is happening here? We'll get through this. Give it a month or two.
Right.
And unfortunately, at month 2, a lot of people were starting to say, what's really happening here? I don't get this. And are we going to be okay? Are we ever going to come out of this? Is our world ever going to start to go back to normal?
Right.
Is this the new norm?
The new norm. I think a lot of people are afraid of that.
We don't know what to expect.
Exactly. So I really want you to kind of share some of the skills that you, in the beginning, you pretty much had to beat me over the head with, not physically, but, in your Christine way.
Drill it into
Drill
you.
Sergeant
You need
Christine.
coping
Oh
skills.
my God.
If you don't have coping skills, you can't cope.
The
Okay.
world needs coping skills.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're a clinician, if you're not a clinician, if you're a doctor, a lawyer. If you are on the front lines,
Mm-hmm.
doctor, lawyer, not lawyer, doctor, nurse,
Well, but
you need to really be able to manage
yeah.
yourself so that
Mhm.
you can help other people.
Yes.
First responders do not get the mental health education that they need.
Mhm.
That's first off. And therefore, for anybody that this can help, I'm here. So let's talk about coping skills.
These skills
Deep
can
breathing.
also go for anyone, for
Yeah.
everyone that's going through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, anybody suffering from depression, anxiety, when you get those pangs of pain of, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? I'm not able to get my breath. I'm hot and clammy. My stomach's a mess. I really don't know which way to go. I'm nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's time to sit down. It's time to sit in a chair. It's time to do some deep breathing. And the way that we do that is the 4 square breathing is.
I love square
Remember
breathing.
this?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
you're going to do it with me?
I am. I'm
Okay.
going to, because this was I'm just gonna let anybody watching know that when I was taught these things, I rolled my eyes for the first 2 weeks and just kind of sat there going, until one day I really tried to take it seriously in the car, because I didn't realize this is not something you should do while you're driving, by the way,
No.
and almost
not in the
passed
car.
out. But it was the realization. But with practice, because you have to be willing to do the work
Right.
and get past your snarkiness, which is pretty much what it was for me,
And that's a defense mechanism,
It is.
Maureen. Many people come in thinking, I need help. I want you to help me, but don't get too close.
Don't
I
get too
think
close.
that for trauma patients alone, that's an important thing to identify. It's, I will let you in when I'm ready. You're
Mhm.
not going to intrude upon my personal space. I've had enough of that.
Right.
So let me get to know you and I'll let you in if I'm comfortable.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
As one of the trauma patients that you had, I really felt like I had gone through something that was so larger than life in so many ways, and had beaten me down so severely that I had kind of disassociated from it, that it couldn't be as simple as breathing.
Oh, but it is.
I know, that's
It
the thing.
really
Like
is.
you go through this thing, and you go through something like a pandemic, and your mind is racing, and your fears are coming to the surface, and you're trying to deal with the children, you're trying to deal with unemployment, you're trying to deal with maybe a husband who's home, who's not been home, and now he's under your feet all the time, and what's tomorrow going to bring? And it's just so big that the very thought that breathing could be part of the solution seems almost insulting. Like, so you think that by breathing this is going to make me feel better? And that's why I think I was
Absolutely.
very snarky in the beginning, because it was like, oh dear Lord, here we go, now I got to breathe. All right, I could do this at home, I could have done this for myself. Seriously. But no, obviously you couldn't have done it for yourself, because you could have. If you could have, you would have. So
Absolutely.
I want to just kind of preface what you're about to do with, it may seem like it's so elementary, but the route to building on a base is to get back to basics.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finally made that connection, it was like, so yeah, I got to start from square one to kind of bring it all down and just start to be
That's
able to deal with
exactly
it in
what you're doing.
pieces.
If we're at a heightened state of anxiety and we're all tight, when you get anxious, you get hot and clammy.
Mm-hmm.
Your face gets red. You literally hold your chest and your chest is tight. And you begin to think, okay, am I having a heart attack? That is your body clenching.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to be able to break through that, we've got to breathe and we've got to perfuse our body and we need to relax.
Yes.
So by doing the 4 square breathing, we get
Mhm.
to relax our body and then we can think a little bit clearer.
Yes.
So by taking a deep breath in through your nose, holding it for a count of 4, and releasing through pierced lips out of your mouth and blowing completely out. And when you're done, hold for a count of 4 And breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 4. And remember, if you can't hold your breath for 4, hold it for 2. Cut it in half. Breathe in for 2. Hold.
I love that exercise. Like, you have no
I
idea.
also think you like the count of 4.
I love the count of 4.
I think you like the count of 4.
But you're very right. When I first learned this skill, I couldn't get to 3 without feeling panic. Or I would get to 4.
And that tightness in your chest may not
Yes.
let you breathe deeply.
Has anyone seen The Green Mile? Have you seen the movie The Green Mile?
Bits and pieces of it.
Jared, have you seen The Green Mile? Yeah. Jared is filming us right now. So there's the character, John Coffey, who's on death row. And he has this ability to breathe in people's ailments, illnesses, and he takes out of you what's bothering you. And then it kind of jumbles up in his body, and then he opens his mouth and it all just pushes out. And I said to people, I started imagining all of my stress and all of my anxiety. When I really started pushing it out, when I really embraced the skill, I would push it out and think of him. And I would push it out so hard that it actually just brought me right to, okay, I can breathe.
And that's
like, it
what
was
the deep
imagery.
breathing is about. Absolutely. Because once you do the deep breathing, you can do the imagery with it to be able to bring the toxic energy that you're holding up in your body and getting rid of it.
Yep.
And there's a very cleansing effect when you do that and you do it right.
Yes, when you do it right, oh my God, it's so true. See, I'm getting excited now.
Because it works.
because I can't stress to people how stuck up I was about it at first.
No, you were not stuck up. You were not stuck up.
That's what
I
it felt like.
remember you as defensive.
I was.
Don't tell me what to do. Don't push me around. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
I have been abused.
Yeah.
Do not chastise me. Do not make me feel inferior. Defensive.
Really broken.
Broken.
I was so broken.
And when people are broken, they seek control because nobody likes to lose control of their life. It's an uncomfortable feeling. But when people have felt that loss of control, they will grab at straws to pick up any ounce of control that they can. And what happens is they look for control in all the wrong ways. And they become angry, and they become defensive, and they snap, and they become snarky, and it's don't tell me. And really, they're more reactive than reactive.
Yes.
They're talking, they're not listening.
Right.
And therefore you have the breakdown in communication, and you have mishaps in relationships, broken relationships, and you fall further and further down the rabbit hole, so to speak. This is a conversation that people should be having. If they're in counseling, they should be talking about these things with their counselors. And counselors need to be talking to their patients about this, because this is the world that we're living in, and our environments affect the way that, we look at things. And I want to say one other thing that mental health providers need to be doing in this time frame, everything that they can to keep themselves healthy.
Yes.
We as providers always think about other people and put other people first. And we really need to be very aware of the fact that we may need to take a step back and do some work on ourselves right now. Even if it is taking 10, 15 minutes to take that deep breath, or go for that walk, or do some yoga, take a hot bath, read a comforting book, watch a nice movie.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Because you're on the front lines in a different way.
Absolutely.
You're in a way that people don't see it.
Absolutely.
And they certainly don't talk about it or celebrate it. So, you're kind of, you're the quiet unsung heroes in many ways as well. You're certainly my hero.
Oh, thank you.
Because if not, all of these lovely people wouldn't be able to enjoy this.
Absolutely.
The magic of the tent.
The magic of the tent.
So no, seriously, thank you so much for coming.
Oh,
I
you're
really
welcome.
appreciate
It was a
it.
pleasure to be here, Maureen.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on Tent Chat. I'll see you next week. And remember, you are magic. Good night. Mwah.